You have taken the witness stand many times and railroaded innocent people with your lies, putting them away in jail. Today, it is you who will be railroaded. You have one chance to live. Tear from your mouth the tongue that has so often been used to lie and to deceive. Take a leap of faith and you will live. Only your weight will rip away your lying tongue and save you.
So the only thing that would be different from the apparatus that I proposed to this apparatus would be the idea of the phrase "a leap of faith." So the insinuation would be, so he is someone who's lied on the stand to put people away or keep them out, whatever. He's corrupt. um, I don't know how that would pertain to a leap of faith, um, putting his trust in something else, rather than, I think it would be more of the symbolic issue of saying, rather than you have the chance, like, don't do this again, show me you're not going to do this again. Show me that you have the resolve to change yourself as this is an example. That's what I mean. With gore, you get it more of a symbolic sort of payout for what the victim will be receiving. Where I do think that it should be more of what would be deemed as a reward on the psychological level of now you're a better person, you know, for society is what I would be liking to think, or humanity as a whole. But we also get the sense that this guy later on is, we don't know necessarily what to think of him because we've only seen this one clip and seen very little dialogue with him. But we find out that he is one of the only friends in this precinct to Chris Rock's character. Again, I'm sorry, spoilers. I assume you're fine with it by now. If not, you would have clicked onto another video. It's going far too long. But we get the idea that he already has this trust, or at least he's a moral enough person to have a kinship with our protagonist, someone who we tend to identify with, who doesn't necessarily follow the rules, but follows the justice of that world to the end. He's not corrupt. He does corrupt things. He'll, not tell the precinct. The good thing is he's not a goody two shoes. He will still bend the rules. He's like what Poe was in Star Wars, the terrible sequels. He knew the protocols, but if nobody else was going to do those protocols or let you know that there was even a fucking plan, then he's going to do what he thinks is best. And a lot of the times when we look at serial killers and stuff like that, is they sometimes have a similar objective, or they'll have delusions of that sort of grandeur, which will get them to a position where they've justified it in the moment, but then afterwards, when confronted and having to repeat it to people in language, they can't justify it as much, because all of the things that they've said in their head, the little people on their shoulders, have been able to say, yeah, but remember this, or what about this, or all the times this. So it was an interesting thing, I thought, the whole leap of faith thing was with this.
Live or die. Make your choice.
Might as well watch it again. So again, yeah, in 7 you could chew that tongue off. Just get a gold grindy man and get through them. That's what I mean. That's why we didn't know about his dental hygiene before. I love the fact that they have this guy carelessly not even looking at where he's going. Obviously he's driving a train, it's not a car, I know. But I just think that's interesting whenever actors add those things, or directors tell actors to put that thing in there. So we get the insinuation that the blood is as well coming from that thing there. I'm now even thinking of changing it. So I'd be thinking that, so a couple of different things. I was thinking then, because rather than doing a leap of faith, you would want to be using a lot of tension, and getting a run-up, I was thinking, is more of that sort of psychological build-up. It's not so much, pushing away, that's a slow push. Having to build up to having to jump off the edge of a cliff, or making a literal leap of faith, requires a lot of courage. I even be thinking, morbid, but that thing that's attached, he has to run away from it, run the opposite direction, and then turn at the last second so that, boom, he pulls it, and that tension would then tear it out. That, I think, would be far more like full on. You could also too make it so that that chain would be at a length that if it tore out his tongue, he would then fall off the train tracks, if you know what I mean. So instantly, by doing that, he is purging himself of being killed, which was the agreement that was made beforehand. So yeah, that was another one. The other thing I thought of was the bear trap idea. So you've got a train coming in with motions this way. I thought it'd be interesting if there was something that, like, if it pushed some metal plate, it then pulled something this way. You know what I mean? So that then that pulled him, but it wouldn't. Well, you could have a couple of different things. You could have him, like, his feet glued or cemented to the ground, or even in between the train tracks, you know, as in, like, you know, fused somewhere like that. So therefore you've got dislocations of the ankles and pulling it out from the body there, which is traumatic and awful. But I'd argue that if he was just standing there, and that when that train hit and you saw that bing pig, that whoo, you just got leapt out like that, you would still be running into the direction of the train and it would still connect. But at that point, you would be accelerating forward as that's also accelerating that way. So you would get much more of an impact and much more of that splatter effect. Regardless, though, you're always going to get this collateral damage because you're using a train as the device to destroy. So I think that that is careless on behalf of the designer. So the intent of the designer is something that is, in this trap, a little bit careless. Not as careless as other Saw designers have been. Yeah, some have literally just been, I don't like you, I'm going to do this. And others have been, like, more implemented in the case of there is a very easy way to get out of this unscathed. Whereas others have literally been, I can avoid this by throwing somebody else into this pit full of syringes. So yeah, welcome to the channel. I'm sorry if you're getting, like, morbidly thrown off by the way I'm speaking, but this is Surgeons of Horror. We're here to dissect these horror films, see how we could either improve them or discuss about what the psyche of what's going on behind these people is. At least that's what I would like to concentrate on. The last second there, we do actually see his tongue get torn out. So from the filmmaker's perspective, I guess the insinuation is that at the last second, that character was redeemed. You know what I mean? By making him later on a friend of that protagonist, and us not knowing anything about him or seeing any other flashbacks, we then discern from him that he's redeemable. Yeah? He's not completely corrupt. Whereas in some other Saw traps, we've seen people who, in other Saw films, we have seen people who will literally just not play. They say, I'm not going to do this. And yeah, it's planned that way. Like, you know, the traps are designed so that you can't get out of it. But other traps later on, I do think have a lot more greater potential, but also using what we know about shock, as well as how long it takes the body to go into shock and what our body experiences in shock and what we can remember of it. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be improved in other traps that are later on. So, yeah, Saw, the new Saw film is out in cinemas now. It's a fantastic time to get out there. It's not as scary as you'd think. People are still out and about there. If you are in an area that still requires masks, please mask up and be careful on public transport and around there. Be safe, warm and well as we're going into winter. But yeah, get out into the cinema. It's a great time because there's hardly anybody in those massive cinemas, and so you get the whole experience to yourself. And something like the Saw films are a great, you know, a vicarious fun thing to go through because, you know, they're silly, they're fun and gory, and we go into it knowing that, yeah? It's not something like Requiem for a Dream where we're going to have to morally reanalyze our psyches or anything like that. But us being able to use those same tools makes it a lot more interesting when we, you know, dissect these films. So yes, Spiral is out in cinemas right now. Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson star in it. It's a fantastic, fun romp. I don't usually do any sort of star rating system or anything like that, so I won't. But I do like the first Saw film, and I still think that that is my favourite Saw film. But coupling this in with all of the other ones, I think we have 7. Let's have a look, just before we go. Saw franchise. I saw the franchise. I saw the franchise. Give me the films. Okay, so we have Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, Saw 3D, which I keep calling Saw 7. And then we had Jigsaw, which was in 2017. Now we have Spiral from the Book of Saw is the full title. And, to be announced, we have Saw X, so Saw 10, which is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we're going to still have the other people on it. Chris Rock was a fantastic energy into this. His comedy and the writing that he put into it made it feel more like a Tarantino film, which I think just works so well. I mean, they are interchangeable, and comedy and horror just go hand in hand. There was still a beautiful story arc, I thought, from Chris Rock's character's perspective. Even from Samuel L. Jackson's character's perspective, there was a couple of moments that it seemed quite funny that it was obvious that they weren't on the same set at the same time. If there is anyone who worked on the film, please feel free to correct me, because I would love to know if those two people were on the same set, because I'm sure those two performers would have loved to have worked with each other, and it either would have been because of schedules or COVID or something like that that would have made that impossible. But hopefully we can see another one, because I would love to see Chris Rock do, maybe not another Saw, but if it's something that he wants to do. But I think that his energy worked really, really well in it. And even I still think that the Saw franchise would work to lending its characters to make callbacks. I mean, we had that already with Carrie Ells, who, those of you who might know who aren't Saw fans, was from The Princess Bride. He was Dread Pirate Roberts. Spoilers, sorry, I don't want to see that. But if you haven't seen it by now and you are a fan of it, you should have. But yes, he had a bigger role. He was obviously in the first Saw film. And he was in one of the other ones. I don't know if it was 3D or Jigsaw, but he had a returning role in that, which I personally liked. I didn't like the film, but I thought it was good fun. But I personally I like Saw 1. I'd probably say Spiral then, and then Saw 2, because I like the fun of Saw 2. I do like how Saw 1, 2, and 3 have their complete little arc. I think that that's a good little arc there, because then after Saw 4, Saw 5, you go on a different area where it's more about, again, you're dissecting the designer's intents. But yeah, so yeah, I definitely say that Saw and then Spiral, because it was a lot of fun, and maybe that's just because I've recently seen it, and we've just dissected one of its traps to try and make it a little bit better. If you have any ideas or suggestions, if you think that you could make a better design, let us know. Either have a video response or a text response, and let us know what you think. If you'd like to see more of these traps, I'd like to do some more, even if it's just the Spiral films. I think there's 3 more traps left. But let me know, and I would be more than happy to do it. But other than that, hope you guys are having a fantastic day or night wherever you are around the world. And so hope to see you again very, very soon on the next Surgeons of Horror Dissect. Rock on.
Live or die, make your choice.
Spiral from the Book of Saw. Rated R in theaters Friday.